Bonjour Odile.
Bonjour Pascal.
Ah, tu aimes nous faire peur, hein?
I'm here. I'm here.
Hello.
We will begin in 2 minutes. Pascal, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. Let's go.
Voilà, let's go. It's time.
Hello, everybody. Thanks to all of you to be here for video conference of orange wine, Amphorae wine, and rare wine, rare grape. My name is Pascal Fernand, and I'm with my team, Joe. Hello. Hugo. Hi, everyone. And Odile in Mexico. So thanks to our sponsorship, Autoctovino and Vin de Terre, and all the buyer and commercial agent of Canada, USA, and Mexico. As you all know, the American elections are now clearly finished. Hopefully, the spirit and the wine tax will decrease again soon. He is Optimus, it's the dog of the office. But today, each producer will have 6 minutes to introduce his wine and his state. Please be clear and efficient. After the event, the buyer will contact the producer directly if they have any question or concern, as well as to organize the sending of the wine sample. Thank you. Have a great video conference. I now give the floor to Odile in Playa del Carmen. Hello, Odile.
Thank you, Pascal. Welcome, everybody. So thank you for joining us today. So on this event, we are bringing together orange wines, wines made in Amphorae, those under skin contact, and as well as rare wines and rare grapes. So you will see that we have an interesting lineup for today. So let's start with the orange wines. So the orange wines, far from being a trend, it's an ancient way of white grapes vinification dating back at least 8,000 years. So the revival started in, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago. And now we can find all these orange wines, not in every city, at least in here where I live, it's more scarce, but I mean, in Europe, it's easier to find. So let's begin with our first domain. It's Vignobles Vellas, and Julia Garcia is presenting. So Julia, welcome. I think that you can unmute her.
Hello, everybody. Hope you are doing all well and ready for the good business with the French Languedoc wines. I'm presenting a winery in the south of France near Montpellier. We are all the wines here we produce. are produced by Nicolas Vellas, that you see on the picture. He's a winemaker, designer, and we have about we have 9 wine estates in the south of France, and mainly in organic viticulture. So all our bottles have a particular thing that they have very eye-catching and attractive packaging, rather concentrated and intense in color and aromas. So today I will present you the first wine is orange wine. It is in the range of the wines that called naturally pure, and we have 3 of them. So one Sanso, Grenache, and orange wine. So all of them are vegan and organic. So as you know, the grape variety for this wine is Gros Manseng. So it's a white varietal that is vinified as a black one. This is the thing for the orange wine. And then we aging this wine for a few months in the French oak barrels. So this wine has a light orange color, intensive and very aromatic wine. And on the nose, you will feel aromas of white citrus fruits, and in the mouth, it will show some volume and very fresh finish. I don't know if you see the label. It is a rather modern and contemporary design that will procure some emotions, and this is the particular thing of all our bottles. As far as I have 3 other wines that are from rare varietals. I continue to present them now, I suppose. So the next one is the range called Eco-Friendly. Eco-Friendly, we have 3 rare varietals. One of them is Viaud Aramon, Old Aramon. So it's an appellation of Vin de France. And on the label, you see Louis Vellas is the grandfather of Nicolas Vellas, the winemaker, with his white mule, ready to be tagged for the harvest. And this Aramon grape varietal is it comes from the old history of Languedoc. Historically, it has very large grains, and bluish black color. And it was called other times Uni Noir, like Uni Noir. So there are only few plots now planted in Languedoc, and we produce very limited series of 13,000 bottles only of this wine. And if you want to discover a flavor of yesterday, you are curious you can taste this, try this wine. The next one is the grape varietal called Laidonnière Pelute. Laidonnière Pelute, I don't know if you have heard about this grape varietal before. For me, it was a discovery this year. It comes from Catalan origin, Spain. It's due to the very old mutation of Grenache Noir, which earned of the nickname of Hairy Grenache. The degree of alcohol of Laidonnière Pelute is 14.5, and I need to remind that majority of our wines in Languedoc have very high degree, more than 14, except Aramon. Aramon has 12 only, and due to its lightness, it is naturally light in alcohol, so it's ideal for the aperitifs or something like that. So Laidonnière Pelute, I will go on. So it gives this grape gives very remarkable wines, powerful and generous, ample and with very aromatic notes of black licorice and pepper. And as well, this wine has a very good potential for aging. It has a very intense red color and the nose with notes of red fruits, strawberries, and spices. You can find the notes of Mediterranean herbs as well in this wine, like rosemary, lavender, because our terroir is composed of all these Mediterranean herbs as well, and it's reflected in the wine. And the last wine is the same range, which calls eco-friendly. You have a nice heart here on the label. I love Tempranillo. So as you guess, this wine is 100% Tempranillo. And this grape variety has Catalan origin due to a very old mutation. This is Tempranillo means early or precocious in Spanish. And it's rather hasty variety that ripens very early in the year. So on the label you see Louis Vellas, grandfather of Nicolas Vellas as well, with his family on their first tractor. So it reveals it to the history, and it's always very nice to see how we live here for the ordinary customer who is behind in front of the shelf. So this wine is 13.5 degree alcohol, and this wine is rather corpulent, tannic, and revealing a wide range of aromas, like strawberries, strawberry jam, and dried fruit, like prunes. And you can also feel some chocolate, leaves, and tobacco perfume and flavors. Thanks to their smooth texture, these wines are ideal partners for braised meats. And my favorite dish to serve with this wine is rabbit with prunes and bacon. I think you would love it as well with that. So these are 4 wines that I presented to you, but I invite to contact me for other wines from our assortment. I am sure you won't be disappointed, because we suggest very contemporary design for traditional quality from Languedoc. Thank you for your time, and hope to work with you soon.
Thank you, Julia. So
Thank you, Julia. Nice presentation.
Let's move to Bordeaux, where we have 2 wineries. Now with Vincent Percier from the Entre-deux-Mers Aubenauge. Vincent, is your turn.
Yes, it's me. Hello, I'm Vincent. It's my propriety for Vignobles Percier. I'm in Targon, in the country of Bordeaux, and precisely in Aubenauge. I present you my special wine and the price in the final. Alors, orange wine or orange wine or white maceration wine. It's orange. The maceration for 30 days in still vat. It's my first vintage, and the conclusion, it's a good test. For the degustation, I prefer it at room temperature. Look the color. Yes, good color. Voilà. The color, it's pale orange yellow. The noise is discreet on the white melon. Spicy. After aeration, we find a note of rose. At the palate, acacia flower. It's very round and pulpy with white tannin with a hint of plum alcohol and on the finish. To drink, it's an aperitif or with an Asian dish. The other wine, it's my Entre-deux-Mers Aubenauge. It's a rare grapes, Sauvignon Gris. It's 100% of Sauvignon Gris. of Chateau Bel-Air l'Espérance in appellation Entre-deux-Mers au Benoge. For the degustation, I prefer taste to 12 Celsius. The noise is complex and elegant. It's a revolt note of white acacia flower and grapefruit. In the mouth, a mineral freshness, aromas of fruit citrus and passion fruits. To drink in an aperitif or with fish or cheese. The vintage 2019 is it's rated 90% on Wine Enthusiast, and the 2020 it's very famous. It's is more than 30 degrees. It's very exceptional. The other wine, it's my game. Bordeaux Rouge and a lot of millésime. Merlot, Cabernet Franc, Cabernet Sauvignon, Malbec and Carmenère. Bordeaux Rosé, Bordeaux Clairé, and Sweetie Bordeaux, and the very famous Crémant de Bordeaux. Another in the game, Chateau Jean Blanc Perrine. It's aging in barrels with good degrees and a big reserve for the red and the white. And yes, the price. It's very important for me for a good price for you. Donc, qu'est-ce que j'ai mis? Price are 470 centiliters bottles and includes the marketing and the free goodies. For the classic wine, the first column, Chateau Bel-Air l'Espérance, it's €2.80. Excellent. For the wine, Chateau Jean Blanc Perrine, aging in barrels, and the orange wine, it's the second column, it's €4. And for the finish, the Crémant de Bordeaux, €5.50. And for other bottles and the special label, tell me. And to finish below, the 4-pack, we can do everything, cable, personalize the label, and the free palette with several vintage. Tell me for the degustation, or and bisous for teach, please. Bye bye.
Thank you, Vincent. What's the name of your pet?
Stitch. Stitch.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. So now we have Olivier Cazenave, also called the wine poet. So let's discover what our poet has to bring today. Welcome, Olivier.
Thank you. Hello. Hello, everybody. Hope you're fine from everywhere. Okay, my name is Olivier Cazenave, and I introduce myself. Just born in Bordeaux region, Libourne. Spent more time outside this place, but I came back 15 years ago to make wine by passion, because my family is not involved in the wine growing. In fact, it helped me to be more creative, maybe not to have the background of the family, of the tradition. So since 2003, I produce many wines, maybe today 20. And today we talk about 5 wines of our wines. I say our because I will also introduce my friend Julien Dité, who is from Catalonia. Yeah, the guy you see on the slide. My friend is making wine in South, in French Catalonia, and I make wine in Bordeaux. But we work together for many wine project. So that's the good start to speak about Tatsima. Our main brand name is Amistad, which means friendship in Catalonia. This brand is Tatsima, which is the reverse of Amistad, because the wine is a bit reverse. The idea is, it's funny because when we did this wine 6 years ago, we didn't know about orange wine. You know, we didn't know it was starting to be very trendy. So that's why we call it gray Tatsima, not orange Tatsima. Because for us, it was, in our mind, it was a gray wine more than orange. In a way, the wine is orange, don't worry. So it's made from very old grapes of Garnacha, gray Garnacha, and Macabre, half. I say very old because the average is 65 years on a very interesting place where we never used pesticides, neither herbicides. And the wine is nature, okay? It's in conversion organic, and but moreover, it's all over, it's nature, nothing added in this wine. So we have the grapes, we vinified with 3 weeks of maceration, quite a long time. And then we keep them in a tank for 8 months, and we bottle, and we keep 1 year in bottle before selling the wine. Okay, so now we have the 2018 available. Okay, it's a small production, 2,000 bottles every year. I will be short for the tasting because it could be very long, and but the wine is good. Is more and more in the very 2 stars, 1 and 2 stars restaurants in Paris and in south of France. More and more, it's going very well. The best for the tasting is to try it. Be sure. I can say for the profile, it's a full-bodied wine, very deep, very long, with a long finish, and of course matching very well with Asian food. With okay, last week we tried with orange duck, canard à l'orange. I don't know the name in English. It was fantastic. So Tatsima orange to finish on the orange wine chapter. Odile, I continue with the other wines? Yeah? No answer, so I continue. The brother of the great Tatsima is red Tatsima. We call it black Tatsima with gray. This is very interesting. It's a new vinification, co-vinification. Black Garnacha, 25%, and the rest with the white grapes. So it's a co-vinification of red and the black.
Oh my God.
The result is a red wine. Sorry, not black. Quite light, very fresh, very high in the palate. For me, maybe it's a wine for the future, because we ask for lighter wines. Because we are in south of France, but it's more than 14. But the impression in the palate is very fresh, very light, very easy drinkable. So that's the brother of Amistad. It's quite a new cuvée we just have since 2 years. Okay, so we drive 500 kilometers north. We come to my place, to Bordeaux, and I have 3 wines to introduce to you. So this one, okay, that you can see on the slide, is a muscadel, is a white grape of old muscadel, vinified and aged for 2 years and a half, 30 months in barrels, in 600 liters barrels, very long time, and then 1 year in bottle. So this wine, I sell now, is 2015. Okay, it's a gastronomic wine. Not to enter too much on the tasting, but the wine is very big in mouth, very opulent, generous, and it matches with all. I mean, it's a pleasure for sommeliers. And this one is now at L'Arpège, you know, in Paris, 3 stars. Alain Ducasse got it also for Plaza Athénée and Lyonnais, and in many of the Taïwan, in many other places, because it's a pleasure for sommeliers, because this one match with all the dishes that you can't find some marriage, you know. So for them, it's quite kind of reflex. When they hesitate what to choose, very often they choose this wine. And it's very long finish, very good for aging too. I will, next year, no, in 2022, I will put on sales my 2012 vintage, just to show that the wine is very interesting. Okay, all muscadet grapes. Now, the red brother, is 100% Cabernet Franc. The originality, except the bottle shape, is that it's a Solera, not on the oxidated way, not at all. It's a Solera because there is a blend of 8 vintage in this bottle, okay, from 2011 to 2018. So, because every year, every new harvest, I add to the blend the new vintage once the malolactic fermentation is finished, and also I bottled apart my needs for the coming year. So this one is very interesting because it catches all the good aspect of the Cabernet Franc, which is one of my favorite grapes, and even the bad vintage brings something in the final blend, you know. So very balanced wine, quite full-bodied because this is a Cabernet Franc, but with such a long aging, because the wine in the meantime is in barrels, that tannins are very, very domesticated, we can say. Okay, so 100% Cabernet Franc, and the last one is Montagne Saint-Émilion, is a pure Merlot. It's in the Burgundian bottle because it's a Burgundian vinification. We say in French carbonic maceration. I don't really like the expression. Is a full stem, I think, 100% full grapes vinification. So we just harvest the grapes, we put in a tank, and we close the tank and we wait. So the vinification, the fermentation is made inside the berry, okay, not in the juice. It's solid. It's a solid vinification, and then we, of course, we press, and that's the pressed juice, which is the more interesting.
So what do
that we keep for the bottle. So so in fact, we say very often that this kind of vinification is not typical, but in fact, I think I estimate that this is the more typical we can have, because the man does not interfere, or very, very low. So this bottle is very close to Montagne Saint-Émilion. Even if you try maybe 100 Montagne Saint-Émilion, you will see this one is a stranger. But for me, this one is the closest from the appellation. Okay, I've also produced many other wines, all organic and by. This one is in conversion, but now the current vintage of 2019, all is biodynamic and of course organic. So thank you for listening me. Keep safe, and hope we will meet either directly or through my wines. Bye bye.
Thank you, Olivier. That's
Thank you,
very
Peter.
original to have this Montagne Saint-Emilion in a Burgundian bottle.
Yeah.
Do we have questions?
Okay.
Okay, so yes. So thank you. We are moving now to the Amphorae wine. So Olivier, you already got some wines in Amphorae that you presented. Now we have Natasha Bichet from Vin et Terre, and she will present some jars to you.
Hello, everybody. Thank you again for inviting us. So my name is Natasha, and I work. So we are a French manufacturer of Amphorae founded in 2013 by Patrick Welland. So Patrick's background is the cooperage and pressure of the oak, a system for heating barrels with lava stone to obtain a gentle toasting and light woodiness. So by then, he sought to reduce the impact of wood in the wine. Transferred of some customers, he turned to terracotta amphoras for manufacture in France, but without success. He found what he was looking for in Italy. The increasing demand led Patrick to innovate and try new materials, and he finally found a Chinese ceramic expert and potters, and they teamed up to make your own model of amphoras with stupid shapes. Last year, Patrick had to recruit staff to better attend the demand, and today we have a well-researched and development center to create unique jar shapes, study specific materials, and adapt this ancient container to the modern winemaking. Regarding the materials, so I'll start with terracotta, then stoneware, as mentioned before. So what is this concretely? Stoneware and terracotta are different materials, both from family of ceramics. Ceramics include the wide range of natural and technical bodies fired at different temperatures and with different technical characteristics. Terracotta is fired at the lowest temperature between 900 and 1050 degrees Celsius. So it means something like 1600 Fahrenheit and 1900 Fahrenheit. So this low firing results in wide open pores and therefore an important porosity, bringing a micro-oxygenation between 6 to 10%. Then we have porcelain fired at 1400 degrees, sorry. So 2500 Fahrenheit. This high temperature results in a vitrification process. The material therefore has no porosity, there are micro-oxygenation, and it is as inert as glass or stainless steel. In Wisian, we have earthenware and stoneware. So stoneware is fired at about 1300 Celsius, so 2300 Fahrenheit, and start a vitrification process like porcelain, but without going all the way through. This allowed the pore to be fairly tight while leaving a tiny amount of micro-oxygenation, so something like 2.5%. By way of comparison, the micro-oxygenation of a barrel is 5%. We have therefore chosen these two materials from the ceramic family because in terms of micro-oxygenation, they are complementary to the barrel and the stainless steel vat. So in a way, the amphorae come to fill a void left by the usual container. So what's the effect on the wine? I think that's the whole point. Unlike stainless steel, ceramic is a natural material that allows the wine to constantly evolve thanks to its micro-oxygenation. And unlike the wood, it allows the wine to evolve without impacting any flavor or aromatic contribution. So stoneware or terracotta will not give the wine any flavor or aromas. Ceramic only allows the terroir, the fruit, and the winemaker's know-how to be expressed. The 6 to 10% micro-oxygenation of terracotta is well suited for tannic and full-bodied red wine, or wine that tend to develop maybe reduction aromas. It will respect the grape variety, preserve the fruit and authenticity of the grapes, and the wine will be silky and have some velvety tannins. Then stoneware acts more like a cocoon, with its very low micro-oxygenation at 2.5%. It protects the wine and give it a slow evolution, and it fits well light red wine or white wines. Minerality, purity, lightness, and you will obtain a very delicate wine. Another important technical aspect of the amphoras is the shape. The rounder the shape, the more movement it will bring to the wine. So this movement, contrary to what many people think, did not put the lees back into suspension, but renew the wine in contact with the wall and favors micro-oxygenation. This is why we have designed very vertical shapes, as well as egg shapes, or elliptical shapes, or many different shapes. However, the movement comes from temperature variation in the cellar. So it's useless to expect any movement in your cellar if you have controlled temperature with insulation, heating, air conditioning, and something very straight. So I think that's all. Thank you for your attention. Do you have any questions? No? Okay.
I was talking with a mute microphone. So thank you very much, Natasha. If we have questions, I think they will send it to you. And now we move to Philippe Béchat from Les Graves de Viaud. So, merci Natasha, à bientôt.
Merci beaucoup.
Oui, bonjour. Good morning or good afternoon, everybody. I'm Philippe from Château Les Graves de Viaud. We are a small family vineyards in Bordeaux area, in the Côte de Bourg. You know, it's just north of Bordeaux and near the river Gironde. I just started making wine 10 years ago with my mother. All our vineyards is organic and biodynamic certified. Next slide. And we are certified since now 10 years ago. We make our certification with Demeter, and now we also have the vegan certification since 2014. Because we are very focused on animal friendship and all the things about environmental protection. So today the focus is on our wine, our Amphorae wine. So if you go to the next slide. So what I want to do with the Amphorae wine is to find another kind of emotion with the wine. Of course, we've got some wine with barrel aging, stainless steel aging, and so on. And with Amphorae, I start now. It's my first experience with Bel-Air. Was now 7 years ago, and I tried with a small cuvée first, and I think it was very interesting. For the fruity on a wine, we can have a quick aging, that's very interesting, smooth tannin. After 3-4 years of good experience on a very small cuvée, we decided to make it available for one of entry of a main cuvée based on Cabernet. So let's start for the first one. The first cuvée is the new cuvée available 100% in Amphorae, is the Latikia. Latikia is the blend of mostly both Cabernet in co-vinification. So we harvest and we make the vinification of both Cabernet Franc and Cabernet Sauvignon together. And after 20-25 days of vinification, we age this blend with a little Merlot and age in Amphorae, 100% Amphorae, and of course no sulfate added for even vinification and aging. and even for this vintage, no sulfate added at the bottling. So we can call it natural wine, but I don't like this denomination. But it's very fruity, of course. It's very straight and something very kind of very modern, but even in French word for wine. But I sell this wine a lot in wine bar and for like after work drink. It's really a good selling wine for this kind of place. That's also the Cadet. The Cadet is not a small cuvée. I've got about 600 to 800 bottles a year. The next one is very a niche cuvée, very small one, all handmade, 100% Cabernet Franc, aged in Amphorae, 1,000 bottles, 1,200 bottles a year, it depends. And now it's vintage 15. It's very silky. It's all handmade. Nothing add, no filtration, no 100% grapes. This cuvée, well, I mostly sell this kind of cuvée in restaurant. Again, it's traditional or even vegan restaurant because it's very easy to pair with contemporary dishes because it's not too heavy. It's long in mouth. It's full, but it's very silky and good acidity. So chefs like this kind of wine because it's do not overtake on the plate of the dishes, you know. That's my two and for wine. I want to be quick on this because it's difficult to taste it. Of course, I do not make only and for wine. I've got a large. I've got different kind of wine. I make a different branch. Very simple wine based on fruity, like the Simplement Nature. I've got a white wine based on Muscadel, very fresh. I've got the classical blend of Côte de Bourg. Of course, the classical blend, you know, it's Merlot and Cabernet aged in barrel. I've got the premium wine, which is old vines of Merlot or old Cabernet aged in 500 liters barrel of New Oak barrel, depends. And of course, this special garage wine, all handmade. So that's my range. And of course, the Oak barrel has got its place. The Amphorae has got its place. So I try to make modern, but terroir wine. I want really wine focus linked to my terroir. All of my wine are Côte de Bourg, even with the no sulfite. I try to have contemporary label, and I really like to focus on digital communication. You've got a lot of resources. I can provide you a lot of resources. I've got all my news article on Facebook, Instagram photo, even in English and French, YouTube channel with all the work during the year. I've got video tasting, even in English and French, interviews. I've got a lot of material, newsletter, you can use it for your communication. I've got an online catalog in English, French, Japanese, and Chinese. All my pictures of the vineyards available on Pinterest. It's all AG. You can download this for free. It's all resources, so you can use it. And of course, I made a lot of digital communication with Facebook ads, campaign, virtual event. I've got another virtual event next week with a German. And all this I can do with you, with your end customer or your distributor or even focus. And I think it's very important now to have a good digital marketing, digital communication for our wine, because of course with this station, a lot of people spend time on their computer. So thank you, thanks a lot. You got all the information. I will send you the link for the website. And thank you very much for listening. Hope and if you need some more information, do not hesitate to ask me or to send me an email. Thank you very much.
Merci, Philippe. Thank you very much. So our next winery, so do we have questions for Philippe, please? And if not, we can move on to our next winery, who's located in the Southwest France in Saint-Chinian. And Anne Rivière will do the presentation.
Hello, good morning or good afternoon. I'm Anne Rivière, the export business of several artisan wineries, mainly from the south of France. And here with this Amphorae subject, I'm going to present the two jar-aged wines of Domaine de Pradels Quartironi in Saint-Chinian in Languedoc. So you have a lot of photos of the vinification and then the aging. Domaine de Pradels Quartironi is organic certified. All is made by hand. The harvest is manual and all is made at the Domaine. And it's located on schist soil at the altitude of 300 to 400 meters. So it helps give very fresh wines, a good minerality on the white wines. So to be balanced with the southern type, it's very interesting. We tried the first batch of jar-aged wines 3 years ago with the 2017 vintage on a white wine, which we called Schestos. For this, we put a blending of Carignan Blanc, which is quite a rare grape, with Roussanne and Grenache. And after 5 months of aging, we bottled the wine. And the result was beyond expectation. It was really silky and with a good freshness as well, very nice. It had a very long finish, so we were very happy. And it got very successful. And we also got 2 stars at Guide Hachette, so it was very encouraging. And so we bought the 2 larger jars that we saw on the first photo of the Domaine, which are 1,000 liters, whereas the first one we tried with was 500 liters. And in 2018, we also tried a batch of red wine with Carignan, Grenache Red, and Shiraz. So on the white Schestos, you have a very pale color here. And on the nose, you have fresh aromas with the citrus and great elegance. In the mouth, there is a lot of freshness with a silky feeling. It is really a feature of this aging in clay, this silky, velvety feeling in the mouth. The aromas here with the Carignan, Grenache, and Roussanne are citrus, gooseberry, quince, and the wine is very, very long. It can age. The 2017 is now getting rounder and still with a lot of explosive aromas. It is very nice. 2 days ago, I drank some with clams with cream. It was really perfect. It is also very good with spicy food, poultry, fish with sauce, and ideal on its own, as it is very easy drinking and silky. The Schestos Red here is, I'm going to read you the comment by Jancis Robinson, if you allow, because I think she talks better than me. On the 2018, she gave us a 17 this year in August, 17 out of 20. And she says, creamy red fruit and delicate florals unfold from the nose deep into the mouth. This has extraordinary texture. It has a brushed steam and almost pearlescent brightness. Morella cherries and eucalyptus, tamarillos and thyme. Pure and interesting and very, very long. And she adds, so silky and long that I found myself holding my breath as I leaned into the finish. So I'm going to make it short because I come back later for another winery. Just to tell you that in addition to these two jar-aged wines, we have a full range of wines with 6 reds, white AOP Saint-Chinion, which is always awarded several medals each year, nice rosé as well. And I'm entirely available if you have questions, requests, and I'm here to help for the export sales, whereas the winemakers are at the cellar in their vines and can do the job they love doing. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Anne. See you later in a moment.
Thank you.
Yes.
So our next winery is Domaine Sincère, and Jacqueline Guichot is presenting her wines made in Amphorae. Jacqueline.
Yes, I am here. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. I am here. I am Jacqueline Guichot. Provence and Victoire. We are situated in near Aix-en-Provence, at the north of Marseille, the south of France. This is a vineyard of 50 hectares on the hillside of the Saint-Victoire mountain. We are working in biodynamic process, and we take care of a biodiversity, and we want to not to use any chemical product, as all the biodynamic wineries. Since several years, beside the stainless steel tank cellar, big stainless steel tank, we use different type of vat. We use eggs in concrete, amphoras in terracotta, and jars in gray. Why? Because we have noticed that the extraction, the aromatic extraction, is better in this type of oval shape than in a flat bottom stainless steel tank. The same juice vinified in stainless steel tank and in this type of vat is very different. So now we use jars in stoneware for making rosé and red and white, and we make red in terracotta. We have a lot of amphoras in terracotta, a lot of jars in stoneware, and 2 eggs in concrete. What do you do? What do we do with this wine made in this small tank? First, we make several niche cuvées, like le Petite Folie Rosé, the first one. This is a very incredible rosé, very smooth, very long in the mouth, with many aromatic intensity. The aromas are not exotic taste like lychees or pineapple, and it is very gastronomic. It is easy to pair, but with fine dishes like lobsters, scallops, but also exotic and very spicy foods. After that, we have also a white, only vinified in the jars, in stoneware jars. This is 100% Vermentino. We call it here in Provence.
Please.
It is a very dry white, but it's not acidic. So the pears and the lychees aromas are very intense, and it is very easy to pair with fishes in sauce, not fishes in sauce, but also goat cheese, fresh goat cheese, also goose liver if you like it. Why not? And after that, the last born, Dolia. Dolia is our wine made only in terracotta. When I say made only in terracotta, the grapes, they are Syrah, Grenache, and Cabernet Sauvignon, are hand-picked, and the clusters are coming directly in the terracotta, fermentation in terracotta. After that, we take the juice and we press the clusters in the Huttard press to have a very full body wine. And after the wine, after fermentation, is returning inside the terracotta amphora for aging. And this is a 2017 vintage. This is a very smooth and elegant, but full body, not woody at all. This is very interesting because of the suppleness and the velvet sensation in the mouth. Easy to pair with different type of meat, also with cheese, and also with chocolate, certainly. But this type of continents are very small, and with 50 hectares, it's really difficult to make only wine in this type of vat. So the wine we are making in this type of vat is also used to improve our production in stainless steel tank. And for example, we make 50% hermit rosé, 50% in stainless steel tank, and 50% is in jars, stoneware jars. And after we blend. And this is another rosé, very gastronomic, very easy to pair with sushi, for example, and also with Chinese food. Is very smooth, and it is able to age. Actually, we send 2018, 2017, and 2018 vintage. We have also a lot of other wine made in stainless steel tank with a hint of wine made in this small continent. Two range very important. The main range is a Percier range. We are able to have it in the three colors, rosé, white, and red, and also a tradition range. This tradition range is our entry-level one, but very easy to drink. I am able to say more about our vinification, we think about the life of the soil is important. And for that reason, our wines are really authentic. They are very representative of the ground of South Victoire, with a lot of minerality inside all our wine. If you need more explanation, I am at your disposal. You may write to me by email or by phone, as you can see my phone number. Thank you for listening to me. Au revoir.
Thank you very much, Jacqueline.
Bravo,
Very
Jacqueline.
insightful. I hope I will go to Provence soon.
I hope so too.
Thank you. So, merci, Jacqueline. So now we move to the rare wines. So what makes them rare? It's a matter, so on my end is something like relativity. It can be the scarcity, the confidentiality in their production, or the access to them. Sometimes it's a matter of geography, and it can also be the extreme conditions to produce them, or in a more simple way, how we innovate. So you saw before that we have wines that are produced in with different grapes in different appellations. So now we have with us Ayman Khoury. Ayman Khoury is in Lebanon. Hello, Ayman. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, everyone.
And he will present the Chateau Marsyas and Chateau Bargylus. Thank you.
So Chateau Marsyas and Domaine de Bargylus are two wineries from the Middle East. Chateau Marsyas is in Lebanon, in the Bekaa Valley. Bargylus is in Syria, in the region of Latikia, northwest of Syria. These have been created by Johnny Arsad, who owns both wineries, and whose main objective was to create the best things possible in this part of the world. So just a bit of history to start with. Chateau Marsyas was created in 2005 in the Bekaa Valley. So we have planted the vines on virgin lands. And so we planted in 2005, and the first vintage was 2007, with a production of 6,000 bottles, around 6,000 bottles only. For Domaine de Bargylus, this has been planted in 2003. So in Syria, the first vintage was 3 years later in 2006, with a production of 8,900 bottles in red. Now, of course, the wines, the volumes has increased with the times. We produce around 40 to 50,000 bottles in Syria, and we produce around 100,000 bottles in Lebanon. And the wines today are available, of course, in Lebanon, and they are exported to many countries around the world, in Europe, in a lot in Asia, and of course now we're looking to export also to North America and to Mexico. So this is about the history. Now, the philosophy of Saadi family is applied to both wineries. It's the same philosophy for Chateau Marsyas and Bargylus. When the two wineries have been created, the family has asked for the help of a very known wine consultant whose name is Stéphane de Renancourt, who is a Bordeaux consultant, Bordeaux, who visited Lebanon and Syria. At that time, it was we were able to visit Syria. Now we are no longer able to go there. And we studied the land, and we studied the terroir. And based on this study and the help of Stéphane, we have planted and we have set a certain philosophy in order to get the best expression of these two terroirs that for you might seem very similar, but in reality, both are very different. So the idea here was really to highlight the excellence of the terroir. For example, we have a very, very high density. The vines, we are planting 6,000 vines around per hectare, whereas other wineries will plant 3,000. The idea here is really to get the roots to go as deep as they can into the soil and to get the best expression from that soil. So we have, of course, a lot of challenges, but the idea is to produce a high quality wine that has a lot of elegance, that has a lot of complexity at the same time, that can from one side age very well, and at the same time that can be drank very young at the same time. So this is about the philosophy. And of course, as you know, our region in the world is a very challenging region, especially in Syria. When we first planted the wineries, no one could have imagined the number of challenges that the Johnny Saadi family was going to face. In 2003, Syria was not in a war. Even though it was not in a war, it was already very challenging, because first, we do not have there is no culture of wine in Syria. There's no culture of wine means it's very difficult to produce, to train the people who are going to work with you. It's very difficult to have access to raw material, bottles, labels, all these things. It's very different planting wines and producing wines in Syria, whereas planting, for example, wine in Bordeaux or in Napa Valley, where the culture already exists. So the first main challenge was really to relive this culture. And then, of course, you all know in 2011 the war started in Syria. The two brothers, Karim and Sandro Saadi, the owners, were not able to go there since then because of the obvious security reasons. So just to give you an idea about to produce Bargylus, because they are not able to go there every year before harvest, the grape samples are sent by taxi from Syria to Beirut, where the grapes are tasted in order to decide when is the best time to harvest the grape. Now, it's only grape samples that are sent to Beirut, because both wineries are fully functional separately. And we do this for every parcel in the winery. So this is one example of the different challenges. And now, of course, maybe you've heard of it. On August 4, there has been a huge explosion in Beirut, and also our offices have been completely destroyed. But nevertheless, we are persevering. Despite these challenges, we are still producing in Syria, even though with the beginning of the war, there has been no interruption at all with the production, which is almost a miracle given the circumstances that we are going through. And we are very proud to say that Bargylus and Marsyas are listed in top restaurants around the world. And so if we want to talk a bit more about the wines, so Chateau Marsyas here is our Grand Vin. It is a blended red wine with the dominance of Cabernet Sauvignon, and we have also Syrah and Merlot. Now, obviously, when you say wine produced in Lebanon, so these are powerful wines. As you know, we get a lot of sun, a lot of heat. They are very powerful wine, but at the same time, they have a lot of elegance. And this is another challenge of producing wine in the Middle East, is really to get a balanced wine, which we are doing very well. It's a wine with the aromas of red fruits and dark fruits also at the same time. And you can feel the tannins, but they are very well integrated within the wines. The alcohol, of course, we have, if we compare it to other countries, it's a high level alcohol, but also well integrated. And all the Chateau Marsyas is aged in French oak for 10 to 12 months approximately. So now if we move to the white wine of the Chateau Marsyas, here we are on a blend of Chardonnay and Sauvignon Blanc. It is a bit unfamiliar maybe blend, but it is making a lot of sense when we produce it in the Bekaa, given the terroir and the expression of it. None of our white are oaked, and it's also here we get a lot of fruits in the wines, and we get a lot of notes of citrus. It's also a wine that can age very well. So these for the Chateau Marsyas, these are the two main wines. We have also a mid-range, which are not part of the presentation, but I can of course give you more details about them later on. And now for Bargylus. So for Bargylus, we produce only one red and one white. The red wine, here we have a dominance of Syrah. It's a blend also of Syrah, Cabernet Sauvignon, and Merlot, but mostly Syrah. As you can see, the blends are a bit similar in Lebanon and Syria. However, the wines are very different. Here we have a lot of notes of olives, of truffles, for example. The wines is also aged in French oak from 12 to 14 months. Usually, it takes up to 5 years approximately to be available in the market. And the special thing about the terroir in Syria is that we have flintstone. Here we have the flintstone gives a lot of minerality and a lot of freshness, especially to the white wine, which is here also a blend of Chardonnay and Sauvignon Blanc. The white Bargylus also aged very well, given its high quality. So this is about it, about the presentation. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them and give you more details. If you need them by phone or by email, I will be happy to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ayman.
Thank you. So here are some of the details. My contact information too, if you like to join, to get in touch.
Yes, thank you very much, Ayman. Thank you very much. So yes, maybe we'll have questions. In any case, you will all receive the slide deck, and you can see the press review about these two wineries. So now we have with us from Alsace, Hélène Huttard. So Hélène, it's your turn.
Everybody. So today I will present you our winery, so Hélène, and you will have a small overview of our winery, region, and wines. So here you can see that we are producing wine in Alsace. It's a very small region in the east side of France. We are located between Ribeauvillé and Rigvier. It's always a small town, and it's the middle of Alsace. This Alsace place, it's very interesting because we have a microclimate. We have not a lot of rain, and we can produce very high quality of vines and wines. Here you see the village. It's Zellenberg, the name of my village. It's very interesting because it's a small mountain, 300 meters high, who we produce mostly wine with a large minerality because of the soil, who are clay and limestone mostly, and very rich soil. We are producing wine in conversion to organic, and we are organic next year. We are also producing a natural wine and quite 20 different wines every year. In the next pictures, you can see that even if we are a winery who celebrate this year is 160 years, we are removing all, and we make the new face and the new pictures for the winery. So if you come to Alsace, you can visit us. After that, you see that it's a family winery. You can see our faces. Antoine and I, we are brother and sister, and we are conducting the winery. They are still my parents on the business. We have 8 hectares, so that's small. We can produce very high quality of wines. And we have, the most important is that we have 40 different places. Here you can see on the top collection with only a selection of very specific places. So it's Grand Cru, Lieu dit, or the red wine, and there are only one place that we don't mix with another. On the other side, you see that it's a very high quality of production. It's the late harvest. Now we focus on one very specific wine. It's the Zellenberg Sylvaner. Zellenberg Sylvaner, it's a very specific wine because we don't mix Sylvaner from every place. It's only from the village. Sylvaner, it's a very old kind of grapes that we use in Alsace, but we don't have a lot of producer who have Sylvaner. We have only 5% of the global vineyard who are planted with this type of grapes. Our grapes came from soil, as I said before, clay and limestone, and the plots are 60 years old. So we have very nice roots, very deep, and so we can have all the minerality from the soil, and that's very important for our wines. This wine I can propose now in 2 different years, 2019 and 18. They are very different because the year were very different. 18 was very hot summer like this year. So we have a very roundy Sylvaner and very deep. And the 2019, you have much more acidity. It's much more fresh and refreshing, even if both of them are dry, very elegant, very nice, and very sunny wine. And that's for the Zellenberg Sylvaner. You can see that we have mentioned with a very nice note in the RVF. And you can also see 4 different other wines here who are from other type of grapes. So Zellenberg Riesling, Gewürztraminer, or Muscat, and another city that we showed to you, it's the Ribeauvillé. So that's another one. Here now we can speak about L'Effronté. L'Effronté, it's a very specific new wine that we have this year. It's a 2019. L'Effronté in French, it means that it's cheeky, but it's also very daring because we don't have a lot of Chardonnay in Alsace. That's uncommon. Normally, we have only the Chardonnay for the sparkling, but we want to show to the people that we can make very nice Chardonnay in still wines. So we have old plots, 60 years old, because my grandfather know that Chardonnay were very nice in Alsace, but unfortunately we cannot have the Alsace appellation because it's Chardonnay. It's not available for us, so it's named Vin de France. That's very easy, and that's not a problem for us. This wine, it's a dry wine. It's very, very friendly. It's very easy to drink. And it's very also elegant, like the woman on the pictures. It's also an idea because with my brother, we are very focused on being more natural, more, we have to have less trash. So we propose in 2 different kind of content. So firstly, you have like all the other bottle of 75 centiliters, or this wine you can have in content of cakes. So that means that's very nice for distribution when you want to sell to restaurant, to wine bar, to festival. They can have only this wine in French we say tireuse, and they can just put 1 glass, and that's very, very nice because it's very ecological, it's very economical, and that's the best way when you want to have very nice wine on the wine bar. Here in French, it's very nice. So it's also very nice notes from the RVF. So, and on the same you have also other character or other wines, and you have also the sparkling, where we are very famous because we have a very long yeast, so like 40 months for the white. So thank you. If you have any question, you can ask me. You have also a video show you our job, and if you have any questions, please ask. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hélène. Thank you very much. So our next winery is in Champagne and is Pierre Trichet, Champagne Pierre Trichet, and Mr. Trichet is here with us. Allô, Didier? Monsieur Trichet? Allô, allô, allô? Bon, allô? So we are going to move to the next.
Vous m'entendez?
Allô?
Vous m'entendez?
Ah, yes, super. Thank you.
Is perfect?
Oui, go on,
Yeah.
please.
So, hello everybody. Hello future customer from America. I'm really, really proud to be here with you this evening through this screen. So, thanks to Pascal Fernand to organize this special event from the rare varieties. So I am the owner of the small estate in Champagne area. I live in the north of my Champagne area near the main town, Reims. So it's a small family business. I'm lucky guy because all my 17 plots was classified Haut, Premier, or Grand Cru Champagne. So the winery came from my grandmother. They started planting the vineyards at the end of the Second War. And my parents started botting their wine for the first time in 1970. So since 1986, I am the owner on the bus after my wife. And I am a fan of the history of my area. So I realize different jobs. The main is wine growers, growing himself with my team, my vineyards, my 8 hectares of vineyards. And I make himself the wine blend. So it's the main part of my job. And now this evening I share with you the tasting and the project to sell my wine through this event. So fan of the history of Champagne because we have more than 3 centuries of history here. So the large part from the big blend, the big brands, but a large part from the monks from the monastery. I have a large range. I'm growing the Meunier. More than 50% of my estate is my particularity in the Reims mountain. And I'm growing 25% of Pinot Noir and 22% for the Chardonnay. And since 14 years, I'm planted in my vineyards the all varieties that we can growing in Champagne. So you know that we use Meunier, Pinot, and Chardonnay, but we have the right here to growing the Pinot Blanc, the Pinot Gray, the Arban, and the Petit Millier. And I'm grabbed a few years ago, 14 years ago, 1,000 plants of the pure Pinot Blanc. So it's in a particularity of Champagne. You can find only 5th winery. We can offer you the pure Pinot Blanc Champagne. So I planted it in a chalk, in a white chalk, just at the front of my property. I'm planted 1,400 square meters. It's a small plot. It's a small. It looks like my garden, in fact. And I use the traditional vinification to realize it. It means that I wait the first fermentation. I age it in the inox steel tanks. I filter it, and we have no blend. I'm bottled only this pure Pinot Blanc. So I age it with the lees, with the yeast, 3 years and a half. And after we disgorge, and we add 7.8 grams of sugar. It means that it's a dry champagne. It's a brut champagne. And we can find in my range only the brut. It's a good balance between fruity and sweety taste. So we name this wine, we create the special label for this wine. So the name of this cuvée is Cuvée 1333. Why? Because we can produce only in this garden maximum per year 1,333 bottles per year. And you find behind the label the number of each bottles. So it means that it looks like a collect wine. And in fact, it's a collect wine. I can tell you that it was sold in a gastronomic restaurant in France, as Le Pavillon Le Doyen in Paris, or as Le Calgary in Megève, or l'Eden Rock in Antibes. So it's the wine for the sommelier, So it's the rare wine, it's the rare champagne. So the testing, a few words about the testing. So the gold color, it looks like between yellow and gold color. It's a young champagne. 3 years is a young aging. So and when you put it in the glass, you find inside the tiny bubbles. And you make a large circle around the glass. So on the nose, the main characteristic of the Pinot Blanc is the mandarin taste, the agrum taste, young. And after, with the hedging, and I aged it only 3 years, as I tell you, because I want to have the pure fragrance, the pure flowers from the Pinot Blanc, not from the hedging. After more times, on the hedging, you have the taste from the yeast, like the butter, like the biscuits, like the bread. But here, you find the taste from the pure Pinot Blanc. Agrum, mandarin, and after a few years, dry nuts on the heat of mint. So it's the particularity of this champagne. So usually is the wine for the lunch, for the dinner. You can drink it, all the day, sure. But it's the wine for the sommelier because you can drink it during your meals, during your lunch or dinner. So on the main things is to share it with the, perhaps, I didn't have a good English, but the pigeon meat underdone and with the mushroom of the green peas. So it's the marvelous association. So it means that I created the lovely marketing around this wine. So I created the lovely gift box. You find the plants in the gold marketing inside the bottles. So it means that it's a particular wine for the wine shop or for the sommelier. You have the possibility to buy it or with the gift box or without the gift box. But only one contain. It means the normal size of bottles, 0.75 centiliters. No half bottles, no magnum. So it's a marvelous experience, and I want to share this experience with you in the future in the international fair, or in ProWine, or in Wine Paris in the near future, I hope. And perhaps if you travel in France, I'm really proud to receive you in my guest house. I live in the old monastery, and I have a lot of history under my cellar. The monks digs this cellar. So you can visit my winery, and sure I have always the cold champagne in my fridge for you. I hope to see you soon. I hope to see you soon as possible. And I want to wish you a good Christmas time and a happy New Year in the future.
Thank you very much, Monsieur Trichet. I have a question. It was regarding your cars in the photo. Do you invite the buyers to make rides in the sports cars?
Sorry, I can't hear you very well. Sorry, can you repeat, please?
Si vous invitez les acheteurs à faire un tour dans les voitures de sport qu'il y a sur la photo de...
It's not mine. It's not mine. It's not mine.
Yours. Oh, okay. So sorry, ladies. Thank you very much.
So have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So now we move We are traveling to the United States now, and in the United States we will have we'll be in Utah, and this is to visit this winery. So Philip Anderson is presenting. Philip, the stage is yours.
Okay, 50 second unmute there. Hi, so I work for the Cedar Band of Paiutes, and the Cedar Band of Paiutes is on a reservation in Utah. But it is very cold, and about the only thing that really grows there are twisted cedar trees. So we actually produce our wine in the Lodi growing region using grapes from Lodi and Clarksburg. And one cool thing about what we do is that 100% of the profits from the wines go back to the tribe, and they're used for social programs, for after-school programs for children, and for social programs. The reason that the Paiutes got into wine is that they wanted to get tribal independence and not depend on government money from the United States. And the wine industry suited their ideas of having sustainability. Sometimes people think of tribes as having money now because of casinos, but they're in Utah, so there's no casinos in Utah. Go on if we can. The next slide. So our winemaker is Karen. I don't know if you're familiar with her. She was Naked Wine's winemaker in 2019. One of the things that's a little bit unusual about us is that the vineyards and the equipment were blessed by Robert Pete, who's the tribal elder of the Cedar Band. So little different than some of your traditional winemaking. Let's go on to the next one here with some of our wines. This is our full lineup of 7 wines. Some of them we have more or less production on. Some of the lower production wines are going to be our Pinot Grigio, our Malbec, and our Petit Petite. We probably would be looking at more of our Chardonnay and Moscato for the white wines for export, just because we produce more of them. If you're looking for a really niche item, I think the Pinot Grigio is actually quite nice. Our Chardonnay is kind of a traditional California style. It does about 10 months. 65% of it does 10 months in French and American oak, and then the rest of it sits solely in stainless steel tanks. And so it enables us to put that together, and you end up with a wine that still retains its acidity, but has some nice creaminess to it, some nice oak to it, but it's not overwhelming. It's done very well for us. It's been a Best Buy and Wine Enthusiast, and won a couple of gold medals. Our Moscato is a little different. It's off dry rather than sweet. It's about 11.5% alcohol. So this is not one of those 7 or 8% alcohol wines that is super, super sweet, but it's also not dead dry. And again, this is done fairly well. It got a silver in the Sunset Magazine International Wine Competition, and I think in the previous year it was a Best Buy with Wine Enthusiast. Okay, look at the reds now. And we have the 2 that we have decent production size on are the Mignon. It does have here, we did get 90 points and a gold medal in the Sunset Magazine International Wine Competition. I think last week we received I think a silver in the San Francisco International Wine Competition. Of course, producing wine in Lodi, it's not legally required that you make Zinfandel, but you pretty much have to make Zinfandel. It's the best grape. It's the one in the region. It's been there forever. One thing that I think makes ours stand out is that it has great balance. You know, the problem sometimes with Zinfandel, or some people would say the good thing about Zinfandel sometimes is it can be super plummy, very over the top, real big wine, and that can be good sometimes. But I think the key is to have a little bit of a balance. And so this wine does have some of that plum and everything, but it also has good structure. The acid is there to support it, and it's maybe a little more nuanced than some American Zinfandel that you might have seen. I should mention that our red wines are all vegan. We also produce a Malbec, which we sell out of every year. Very nice, a lot of blueberry notes, and a fairly unusual wine for California. And we produce what we call a Petit, which is a blend of Petit Verdot and Petit Syrah. Really good wines. My favorite wine we produce, probably great wine for barbecuing or grilling. But we only produce about 1,000 cases of that a year. So, you know, it would be available in relatively small quantities if that's something you guys were interested in. We can go to the next slide. I should mention just across the board, you know, it's important to us to have high quality and high consistency. I think our story that, you know, when you buy a bottle of our wine, you're supporting children, that you're helping people who've been marginalized and who live on a reservation. I think that will help sell the first bottle. But of course, the quality is what sells the second bottle. And, you know, so we consistently have Best Buy designations. We've won quite a number of awards in wine competitions. And we are committed to sustainability. We feel that sustainable production equates to dependable production. On the sustainability front, I should mention that all of our wines are Lodi Rules certified green. I don't know if everyone here is familiar with Lodi Rules, but it's California's first third-party certified sustainable wine program. And one thing that's very cool about this is that even though it's called Lodi Rules, more than half of the certified wineries are actually outside of Lodi. There's one in Israel, for instance. And the reason that they go to this is that it's really the gold standard for sustainable certifications. You have to recertify the winery every year. And if we can go to the next slide, you'll see that there are over 120 different farming practice standards and 6 chapters that you have to abide by if you want to be certified. So kind of what this means is for some sustainable programs, it's all about, you know, the PEAS program or something like that, and how you use insecticides. And this is certainly part of the Lodi Rules, but it also means that you have to pay the people who work for your winery, people who pick the grapes, a living wage. It also means that you have to conserve energy, use solar. It also means that you have to recycle within the winery. So it's a broad, overarching commitment to real sustainability. And that is the quick version on who we are and what we do. You've got my information here, and I would love to hear from you and answer any additional questions. We're willing to support the brand with a point of sale. Used to be, I would say, we would come and do wine dinners and that sort of thing. I hope that that's something that's a possibility again within the next 6 to 9 months. But anyway, I appreciate you guys taking your time to listen to me today.
Thank you very much, Philip. Very insightful.
Thank you, Philip.
So next winery is in Languedoc and is Lankeven. So do we have questions? Sorry for Philip. And if not, we move on. So let's go to Lankeven, and Frédéric Fage will present his wine. Thank you, Philip.
Thanks.
Merci Odile. Hello everyone. I hope everyone is healthy by this time. My name is Frédéric Fage. I'm a winemaker in Languedoc, in the south of France. It's close to Montpellier. I'm the 4th generation. I grew up with wine in my family domain. I took over the family domain years ago after 13 years as a web entrepreneur on the marketing internet. So when you can next, yes, thank you. When I took over the domain, I chose to move from cooperative winery to an individual winemaker with quality wine. I chose to reduce from my family domain 15 hectares to keep only 5 hectares. And I chose also to convert the domain in organic agriculture. And we have got the label in February 2020. So to have a quality wine, I work with a natural process, hand harvesting, low yield, and advice from my cousin who has a famous domain in Languedoc. So I produce only 150 hectoliters for red wine, white, and rosé. So it's a small range, as you can see. And you have two small bottles. It's called Cartagena. It's a sugar wine for the dessert, for example. So now let me present my wine called Le Souffle des Anges. It means the breath of angels. This wine has got 4 grapes. The first one is a red grape, is a Bordeaux grape. It's called Petit Verdot. Usually, as you can find in the Bordeaux wine, it's only 3%. Here, it's 35%, blended with Syrah, Grenache, and Carignan. So it's a wine with a nose on the red fruits, a bit spicy, and the notes of Mediterranean scrub. On the taste, you have a lingering red fruit as a blackberry with a long and great length on the palate, and the tannins are smooth, are soft. Donc with a long and nice finish. So Le Souffle des Anges is a very different Languedoc wine. Not only me that say that, but all I work with a lot of professional people, and the professional tester says that we are not used to taste this kind of wine in Languedoc. The first word usually it's wow, it's very fresh for Languedoc wine. So that's why it's a different Languedoc wine. So in next point, Odile. So this wine, I sell this wine after 4 years. I sell the wine in Europe, of course, in France through restaurants, Michelin star restaurant, wine shop, and delicatessen, and on the Belgium and the other country. I sell by, I have 5 distributors and agents. So why I want to sell in North American market? It's because to establish notoriety. So that's why I'm looking for true partners with good distributors, agents. I will be able to have to come to do a tour a year with, of course, Happy Viesa and Pascal and so on. And I have the tools to adapt my product to customize and private labeling. And if you need a free campaign on the social network, for example, I will be able to do that. So the offer for the North America, it's simple. I have only 1 bottle. It's €9 from the Domaine. I can provide 8,000 bottles for this market. Usually for the European market, for example, in Germany, I propose only 2% of samples. Here I want to beginning well. I want to help you to sell it. So it will be 5%. And if you need exclusivity for a country or for a city, I'm open. I can listen to you. And if you work well, after 3,000 bottles sold, you can have a free stay for 2 people, close to the Domaine, of course. Next. So why work together? Because I'm producing surprising wine for Languedoc. I know the profession of marketing. I can help you to sell it as I do in France. In the picture you can see I go to visit the wine shop and we do a degustation, etc. And I'm agile. It means that I'm quick to react. If you need to send something, I know how to work quickly. By the end, I would like to share with you a very good feedback from a wine judge, Jim Murray, that I met in Paris, in a degustation in a wine shop. That's all. Thank you for your attention. Take care of yourself, and hope to have some contact. Thank you.
Thank you.
Merci beaucoup. Pardon. Vas-y, Pascal.
Thank you. Thank you. Nice presentation, Frédéric.
Merci.
Super. Merci, Frédéric. So now we are moving to Bordeaux, and we have with us Château Lamartine. So is Chris ready? Chris and Jérôme, I guess Jérôme is with you?
Jérôme is close to me.
Okay. It's your turn.
So, welcome at Château Lamartine. My name is Chris. I'm export manager for Château Lamartine. We are settled in Castillon, Côte de Bordeaux. Castillon, Côte de Bordeaux, it's a little appellation between Saint-Emilion and Bergerac. Our vineyard is mainly on slopes, and at this place, we have a lot of Merlot. But today, I will talk to you about different styles of wine without any Merlot. Château Lamartine is a family winery. It's the third generation, and actually we have around 24 hectares of wines. So as I said before, in Castillon, Merlot is a king. But today I will present to you a special wine without any Merlot, just with Malbec. 3 or 4 years ago, Jérôme, the boss, decided to plant Malbec and created a new cuvée, a special wine without any sulfate, natural wines. And for this wine, we call that 70 Zar. 70 Zar is the side of the plot where we have the Malbec. For this Malbec, we use special vat just behind me. Maybe some of you know this type of vats. We call that diamond vats. So what is the particularity of the vats? It's eggs in interior. And during the process of aging the wine stays in perpetual movement. So the leaves stay in movement, and we have really fruity and crunchy wines. So I will show to you the color of this wine. It's really fruity wines and a lot of fruit. No tannins. Tannins are really smooth, and it's really easy to drink. It's not complicated wine. It's just to share with friends, with a nice pizza, and watch a good movie or football match. It's a wine for friends. And at Castillon, it's really particular to have this type of wine because most of the time at Bordeaux, we produce wines with many different varieties and wooden barrels. No, this time Jérôme tried to make a wine for friends, only Merlot, special vats, no additional sulfate. So we produce each year around 6,000, 8,000 bottles, and we are looking for importers and distributors in many countries. Actually, we sold our wines in many countries. You have to know we are export expert because more 90% of our wines are sold in export, mainly in Canada, China, and other countries, few in Europe, but mainly in Canada and Asia. We propose many different services to our customers and partners, like OEM. We create for many partners, mainly in China, wines with labels we created and design we created for them. And maybe a little bit, yes, you can, yes, thanks a lot. this one. So each year, when no coronavirus, of course, we organize travels in different countries to visit our partners and help them to develop business. We organize with them testing games and different wine events. We receive them too at the winery to make with them some training and creating some wine for the market.
We lost you, Chris. I think we lost him. So maybe we can skip to the next, and it's Vignobles Landeau, because Olivier Cazenave presented all his wines at the beginning. So we move to Vignobles Landeau. Xavier, are you ready?
Yes. Yes, okay. Hello?
Yes. Okay, so we will finish with there you go.
Okay, hello everybody. I'm Xavier Landeau from Bordeaux. I manage our family vineyard since 20 years. We have two vineyards on 22 hectares, one soil clayed and another soil chalked. We are in organic farming since 3 years, and we get a label next year. When I began in 1995, my will was to rebrand Petit Verdot. Petit Verdot variety, ancestral Bordeaux grape variety, which feel very good on our clayed soil. Now my wife Virginie is going to talk about several wines.
Hello, I'm Virginie. So let's start with Papa. So it's an 100% Petit Verdot, manual harvest. It's matured in oak barrels for 18 months. It's a dark wine with a lot of personality. Deep, lush, with fine tannins. It's a very great land in mouth. We find violet, rose, white berries, color, bouquets, and mouth are all very intense in it, at the same time, very elegant. Papa, we match with red meat, of course, and game, also with hot and spicy dishes. It's really, really gorgeous. I like it with chocolate, very specific with Petit Verdot. We produce 5,000 bottles a year. Petit Verdot demands a lot of work, care, and attention to reach this full grapes maturity. So the first vintage was in 2007. Now, with time, we can say this one will last in cellar for a long, long, long time. It's even better and better. As it was successful, we decided to keep on with Petit Verdot and planted 2 hectares more in 2014. Thanks to Petit Verdot antioxidant potential, Xavier decided to make a natural wine with it. Le Petit Chemin. It means a little path in French. So it's a manual harvest in basket. It's vinified without any sulfites. And the fermentation starts in tank with natural yeast, a short maturing to embottling to keep fruit flavor in bottle. So Le Petit Chenin is bright purple. It's really purple, fresh, lively, full of joy. We find wildberry, blackberry, wild rose, elderberry, and violet flowers. It matches well with cold cuts, spicy, like Indian or Asian food, and it's also remarkable with dark chocolate.
Yes. Another wine in our vineyard. We are lucky to have very old vines. The oldest are 80 years aged. They produce a small yield and give a concentrated fruit with a very fine structure. Cabernet Franc grape are the majority grape, added with the oldest Merlot for a dense and fine wine with inimitable texture. Annual harvest, a long and soft vinification, and a long maturing in oak barrel give us a fine wine, dark, expressive, and complex. Well matching with the meats, spicy dishes. Mirambeau Papin Vieille Vigne present great density and a good balance. We produce 10,000 bottles every year.
So now let's go to another terroir, Couvage Cap de Fer. This vineyard is located on a chalked plateau, composed with 100% grapefruit variety Semillon. Small yield to concentrate fruit, manually harvest in baskets as well. Grapes are stored in cold room before a soft pressing. Fermentation is made in amphora. Maturing keeps on still in amphora with lees. So the color is golden yellow. White flesh, fruit aroma, lychees and agrum as well. The palate is unctuous, fresh and mineral. It's great length in mouth as well. And it suits well for fish dishes.
All the wines are elaborated with the same wheel to give them a real personality, close to our traditional Mirambeau Papin. We propose these other selection wines with authentic originality. They are not yet on the American market. We are ready to give you other information. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we will try to, we have Chris again with us. Chris, you're back. Go.
Yes, second chapter with Château Lamartine. Welcome again. So now you know the wine, and just before I talked to you about communication on social networks. We are present on Facebook with many information, little video, little short story. Social networks on China too, picture on Pinterest, of course, YouTube channel, and 2 websites. 2 websites, the first one is in French because for French customers, and the other one is in English and Chinese for international customers. Because 15 years ago, with the boss, we created a pool of winemakers We sell, of course, Lamartine wines, and second Chateau, we have Chateau Landry. And we created a pool of winemakers with friends and neighbors to have complete wine range to propose to our partners. So now we have, of course, Bordeaux, and other wines as Saint-Emilion or Medoc, and a nice range of cognac to propose to importers in different countries. Actually, so we are present in China and other countries as Canada, but we are really interested to develop our activity in the United States and around Mexico and maybe Central America. So don't hesitate to contact me for any question. We will be really happy to send you some presentation and samples. We are present on WhatsApp too, so it's really easy to get in touch with me when you want. Really, thanks to you and welcome at Lamartine for visit. Bye-bye.
Merci, Chris.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much. So now we are moving to the rare grapes, and this will be introduced by Ken Hayden. Ken, are you ready? You can remove the mute from your microphone. Hello, Ken. Yes, welcome.
Good afternoon or good evening, depending what side of the ocean you're on. What sets your portfolio apart from the competition? Allow me to introduce myself. I've been working in the wine trade now for 25 years. I've been focusing on rare varietals since 2009. I've become really passionate and recognizing that there was a market untapped. I started Autoctavino in 2017 to establish a community platform that would introduce not only the varietals that are presently available around the globe, but also the wineries and the distributors that share that same passion. The majority of you recognize that there are about 20 varietals that make up about global wine sales. But we also accept the fact that there's a change. Gen Xers and millennials of the existing 20 varietals are now looking for something a little different. In my experience, and I know that some sommeliers are new to broaden their knowledge base. If you choose to add rare varietal wines to your portfolio, and if you don't have one already, get yourself a Corbin, because being as the wines will be unknown entities, they'll all want to sample. Research is suggesting that almost 15 to 20% of today's wine enthusiast market is looking for something different from the norm. If that's indeed the case, why not introduce a comparable percentage of more obscure varietals to your clientele? Remember, these wines and the ones you were introduced to earlier represent something that your competition is unlikely to offer, let alone have access to. Many of the rare varietals that are available today are grown in one region or village. One region or village only, or better still, one winery. There's a large selection to choose from. Georgia alone claims to have 528 varietals. Italy, it would seem, has even more. I grant you, not all are sold for the varietal wines, but having sampled wines made from in excess of 500 different grapes, there are some beautiful options being bottled that seldom, if ever, see the light of day. Case point one I just picked up today, Ramato della Fiamma. let me cite, following this, you have an opportunity to meet producers, or following, I should say, you have an opportunity to meet producers or wine representatives who can offer either monovarietal or blend wines from obscure grapes. Let me cite you an example of how you can become a trendsetter in your market. The majority of you are familiar with the white varietal Viognier. In 1965, there were about 30 acres, 12 hectares of Viognier vines remaining in France, and the varietal was nearly extinct. Today, globally, there are over 2,000 hectares, 4,000 of the introduced to over the course of the next half hour or so. Only 2 or 3 are commencing or starting to achieve similar traction. You've sampled numerous wines over the years, and all are conscious. Can be a big determining factor, enhancing or suppressing varietals' acknowledged typicity. Take Cab from Napa, for instance, as opposed to the one growing in California's Central Valley. Altogether different. The wines that you will be introduced to in the next little while are native to the regions that they still grow in. The terroir is tried and tested. I've sampled recent vintages of the majority of the wines on offer today from coming vineyards. I kid you not, it was a revelation. There's a story associated with these wines. Think about it. But doesn't everybody like a good story, especially one that will add a little spice to your portfolio? Facilitate both the entry into an account and eventual purchase of the product. Most of these wines will undoubtedly be offered in 6-bottle cases. From an end user's perspective, that lessens the risk of rejection and facilitates the likelihood of a sale. No matter who you sell to, it's a niche product for them also. I adhere to the nothing ventured, nothing gained principle. Signed up for this, trust me, these remaining 5 sessions will be worth your while. Before going on to the next speaker, I would like to thank Pascal and the USA for this sought after opportunity. And hats off to OD for behind the scenes work and planning. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you, Ken. So now our next winery is Casal Santa Maria in Colares, and Pedro Santos is presenting.
So good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you. Right now, as you can see by my background, it's already night here in Portugal, but it has been quite a nice week this past time around. So it's actually been almost like a new summer here in Sintra. So this winery that I'm presenting, it's basically on the westernmost region of continental Europe. Okay, so it's called Colares, and it's very unique because of the varieties that grow here. Here at Casal Santa Maria, this is a very family-owned winery. So as you can see on the left picture, that's the gentleman that owns the vineyards and the winery right now. That's Baron Nicholas von Brummer. He's the grandson of this gentleman that lived here for over 50 years. He came here to die in 1962, and he lived until 2016. He died with 105 years of age. So maybe in case you're needing a new place to live, Portugal is definitely the place. And the wines from this area are very unique because of what Ken was just saying. So these unique varieties that grow here are just very different. So for you to have an idea first, we have our own portfolio over here. In Colares, most of the people are known for having 2 entry-level whites and reds, as you can see on the left side with our Bruma wines. And then on the right side, we have the DOC Colares, which are the ones that I'm going to present today, which I have them right here on my side too. But then for us over here at Casal Santa Maria, the uniqueness is that we have also this unique profile, this middle ground profile that you see with white varieties, red varieties. Our award-winning rosé was chosen as the best rosé in Portugal. So we're not going to present that one over here, but it's definitely one of our crown jewels, one of our crown jewels of Casal Santa Maria. But today, I'm going to talk about these two guys that I have here on my left side. Malvasia of Colares and Ramisco of Colares, okay? So first things first, Ramisco. This unique variety does not exist anywhere else in the world, okay? For you to have an idea, right now, this is the 2010 vintage that I have here on my hand. So this wine, for you to have an idea, it's unique because first things first, it's growing on vineyards that are pre-phylloxera, okay? So these vineyards are planted in 19th century vineyards on prehistoric sandy dunes, basically overlooking the Atlantic. So these wines are going to be very, very influenced by the Atlantic. The vineyards are literally scattered without any poles, any wires. They're literally scattered very low to the ground in the sandy shores of Colares, and they are basically very influenced by the saltiness and the minerality of the Atlantic. The Ramisco variety in particular will age for a total of 9 to 10 years before it actually comes out to the market, because let me be honest, without this aging, this wine is very, very rough around the edges. But in this case, after 6 years of aging in big casks of 3,000 liters of mahogany, exotic Brazilian wood, then 2 more years in used French oak barrels, and then finally it ends up aging 1 more year in the bottle before it actually is ready to be consumed. Okay. So for you to have an idea, in terms of flavors for Ramisco, we're going to have this very unique wine with a little bit like of black currant. You're going to have this kind of aromas, almost like a vinaigrette, which sometimes puts people off because anytime you think of vinegar and wine, people are always like, oh, that's not something that it's for me. That's something that says the wine is wrong. But in this case, it doesn't. In this case, it actually means this wine is ready to evolve. It has very, very smooth tannin, still very much present in the wine, but it's going to be quite interesting. The unique thing about this variety over here is what I'm about to show you now. So this is the new vintage. This is our current vintage in the market, our 2010 Ramisco. The great thing about this wine is the potential that it has to age. So for you to have an idea, you can age a bottle of this in your winery, in your cellar. So if you're a guy that likes to keep wines, you can age wines like this until for 30, 40, 50 years, 60 years. For you to have an idea, this is a 1962 vintage I have here. And I tell you, it was probably one of the best red wines I've ever had in my life. And it's unique because in this case, it does not exist anywhere else in the world. As you can see also, we've had quite a lot of good scores over the past few years. The first vintage we had was the 2006. The 2007, 2008, and 2009 were all awarded over 90 points for Robert Parker. Now, speaking about Malvasia, this variety is more known than Ramisco. A Malvasia exists different ways in other parts of the world, like in Croatia, in Italy, and Spain. You can also find it in the Madeira Islands in the middle of the Atlantic that belong to Portugal. But in this case, this is known as Malvasia of Colares. Again, planted in pre-phylloxera vineyards, okay, from the 19th century, on the sandy shores overlooking the Atlantic. And in this case, it will be a very, very unique white wine, okay? If you think of white wines in Portugal, they're always going to be very sweet, very fruity. This is not the case with this wine in particular and the wines of this region. They're going to always have this very fresh salinity, this fresh minerality. The wines are going to be quite dry. They are going to have some influence of fruit because it's going to be depending on the grapes, of course. With this one, you're definitely going to have a little bit of like white fruit, like pears and everything. But then you're definitely going to sense the notes of honey, almonds. It's going to be quite a unique wine for this area. For you to have an idea, it ages for 18 months in used French oak casks. Then it stays 1 more year, between 1 year, 1.5 years in the bottle before it's actually ready to be served. In my opinion, if you keep it for 2 more years in the bottle, it will make wonders. The good thing about this wine, when you think of white wines, you think of white wines not being able to age that long. This one, for example, the oldest one I tasted was also from 1962. And let me tell you, a white wine with 50 years of age, it's an impressive thing to see. And the good things about these wines is that they have a long potential to really age for a long time, okay? So now, I hope you enjoyed listening to a little bit of these wines, these unique wines that we have here. Whenever you're in Portugal, we have tours almost every day. Of course, not at this time, but that's another thing entirely. But of course, we're more than welcome to have you here in Portugal, to greet you here, to have you here tasting our whole portfolio, but particularly these wines, which are very unique to us and very unique to this region. We leave you with the contacts of our owner, Baron Nicholas von Brugger. I will leave also my contacts in the chat box in case you have any questions, in case you want to know more about these wines, any questions you have about the history or more about the wines, other wines that we have, we'll be more than welcoming to answer those questions, okay? Thank you very much, and I hope you have all a fantastic Christmas and a happy new year with all great things coming next year, okay? Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much, Pedro.
Thank you.
Clear. Pardon, Pascal, vas-y.
No, I want to say it was a very nice presentation, and I'm sure it will be a lot of success.
Excellent. Thank you, Pedro. Now we have Cécile Domergue and her mom, both from Clos-Santé.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me. And thank you. Right now, maybe it's a long time, 1 hour, and maybe it's lunchtime for you there. So thank you for being there and ready to see a little bit of our charming history that we have in Clos-Santé. Do you hear me? Hello? Anyone?
Yes, we can hear you. If we don't hear you, we tell you.
Sorry. So we are a small winery located in Languedoc, so south of France. We are very lucky to live in the middle of nowhere, and I used to say also that we really live out of the time, which in 2020 is really helpful to be out of 2020. We are in the middle of nowhere, and we are very lucky to have a real clos, which means that all the vines are closed by stone walls. So we are on 50.
Now we lost you. Maybe you can remove your video. Cécile?
Of course.
Vous pouvez éteindre votre vidéo et garder le son seulement parce que je pense que ça prend des ressources.
Yeah, it's done.
Okay, awesome. Go on. Thank you. So just remove your video, just keep the sound.
Normally I did it.
Can you?
Arrêtez.
Okay, well, go ahead.
We are so located in south of France. We have 20 hectares of vines, which is 30 acres for your United. And so we have 30 acres of vines and 20 acres of nature. So this is the way we work in Clos-Santé. We really want to mix the cultures. So we have olive tree, we also have truffle tree, and we go on the 30 acres of vines, 23 different grape varieties. So as Canadian was presenting before, we know that in the world, there are more than 9,000 grapes existing, but unfortunately, we are only producing wines with 30 different grapes, which is a shame for us. So we decided to replant all the grapes that used to be Cuves of Languedoc at the 18th century. So you can see some pictures of Clairette Rose, of Rank, Pitbull, Yadin, which are names that unfortunately have been forgotten. But here in Clos-Santé, my mother have been replanting it for 30 years. So we work also with very old vines. Some of them are more than 110 years old. So we really want to preserve all the history and the patrimoine that we have. And as you saw at the previous shot, we also work a lot with our hands, and a very, very old way of making wines, which is for us the most important, to do not use too much modernity to produce wines, because after all, for us, wines is just expressing the potential of the terroir and the grapes. So I'm presenting 4 wines today. We produce 12 different wines, but I had to make a decision, which is also the worst for us. So today I will present you the Rosé des Oubliés, which is a rosé that we decided to make with all the gray and pink grapes that we have on the winery. So we decided to do a 14, 18 hours of skin contact of the gray and pink, because with the gray and pink, normally we produce white wines, and we want which kind of colors we could get by letting them in skin contact. So as you can see, also we produce very low quantity of each wine, so 2,300 bottles of the Rosé 2019. We really get a wine that has so much complexity. We were really proud to be able to produce a rosé with a lot of density in the aromas, but also a very light fruity nose with a hint of fennel and of fresh herbs, which is kind of rare normally in rosé of south of France, where you can get more fruit. This one has a very elegant nose, and also when you taste it, you have a lasting taste, which allows it to really pair with the food, because unfortunately we are wine lovers before to be wine producers, and we love to drink wines by at the same time that we are sharing something to eat. So we really produce wine in this way. And another wine to present is La Part des Anges, which means the angel share. This wine has been created for my sister's wedding in 2003. For 90 people invited, we had more than 168 bottles opened only of this wine. So as you can guess, maybe a daughter of winemaker didn't have only one bottle, only one kind of wine at the table. But this one had the particularity to just disappeared before even to be opened. So this is a wine really to enjoy. We did a 1 night of skin contact, so we can really get the maximum of the fruit, but the minimum of the color. We have so much complexity, and the best way between the red and the rosé, because you have a little bit more texture than in a rosé, but all the fresh taste and the fruit that you could be looking for in a rosé. So this is a wine also you can mix the temperature depending on what you want it to express. So if you have it fresh, you will have it perfectly pairing with, for example, Asiatic food. And if you have it at a warm temperature, like I mean room temperature, you can have it even if you want with a piece of meat or of cheese. It is the perfect wine to have everywhere all the time with you when you have friends and you didn't expect to receive people at home. Then the 2 other wines that I will present are the Sea of Santé. So the name of the sea is because really this was for my mother, she thought it was the last wine she was going to produce, because it was the end of all the work she did for more than 30 years. That means she looked for the lost grapes more than 15 years. She started to look for it in the 1975, 1980. She did the first plantation of lost grapes in 1995, and then she produced the first wine 10 years after. So first 15 years to look for the vines, to look for the varieties, and then after 10 years to learn how to work with it in the vineyard, also in the cellar. So the Sea of Santé is really the exclamation point at the end of all her career. And so it has 2 declinations, the red and the white. So let's first talk about the white. The 3 grapes that you can see are really not existing anymore. Only the white doesn't exist, because, for example, the Ribeirão Blanc, there is only the vines existing in Santé left in the world. So we are the only one to get those varieties. There is maybe 600 vines, and that's all. And then after you have the Ribeirão Gris, there is 1,500 vines in the world, 500 plants, and we have maybe 1,000 at home. And then the Arignan Blanc, there is half of an hectare in the world. So this is really a wine that expresses a lot of deepness in the nose. You are really on a gastronomic white, which has a very buttery nose. And also here, now we have bees on the winery. And when you open the house of the bees, I don't know the name, you get this kind of smell that you can really find in the Cèdre Santé Blanc. And also something really impressive is that in south of France, because of the sun, you don't have so much acidity in the wines. And this one gets a lot of freshness thanks to the aromas that it gets. And then the red is containing the Picpoul Noir, Ribérenc Noir, Verdal, Œillade, and Morastel Noir. This is a very nice expression of the lost Languedoc and an identity that is really representing our region, but that disappeared today. Thank you very much for your attention. We have a very complete website if you need more information. I'm sorry I talked too much. It was a lot of things to say in so few minutes. So don't hesitate to contact me. I will be very happy. And I wish you to all be healthy and drink good bottles and keep safe.
Thank you, Cécile.
Thank you, Cécile. Nice presentation.
So now we are moving to Savoie, to the Alps, and we are presenting Domaine Saint-Germain, and Marielle is doing the presentation. Marielle?
Hi, I'm Marielle from Domaine Saint-Germain in the northern French Alps. The wine region here is Savoie. It's not a very well-known region, but it's going up and up. The estate here sits in a dramatic location. It's actually looking straight at the Mont Blanc. So our vines are blessed with a view. They spread on very steep slopes, on foothills, and are rooted on limestone and clay. Can we move to the next slide, please? Thank you. So here is Raphaël, our winemaker. All our wines here are organic. We made this choice several years ago for several reasons. First, it was out of respect for the soils, of course, and the wildlife here, also for men and women who work in the estate. But also, if we can move to the next slide, please. It was because we believe it is the best way to enable the soil to speak through the wine. Without chemicals, vines need to be strong by themselves. So they go deeper and deeper down in the ground. And that's how they bring up the flavor and the actual identity of the place where they grow. This is also the reason why you will find throughout our wine range a distinctive freshness. It's some kind of verticality of tension that is born from the fact that despite climate change, our grapes keep a good balance between sugar and acidity at the harvest. And I think we have organic farming to thank for that. So let's move to the wines now. Whites always play first. So this is Roussette. Roussette is the grape variety. In Savoie, we call it Altesse. It's a French word for highness. There is actually a legend which says that a princess brought it back from Cyprus when she married the Duke of Savoie. I don't know about the legend, but what's for sure is that this grape variety did find a land of plenty here in Savoie, and it has become one of the most widespread grape varieties here. It's very typical and it grows well. What can I say? So our Roussette matures in on its lees for 10 months on stainless steel tanks. The bouquet is very fruity and inviting. It has a neat, I will show you the bottle. So here's our bottle. Yeah, so that you can see closely. And here's the wine. So it has, it's a neat and very fresh wine, which rapidly reveals a round mouth, a harmonious mouth. This wine usually wins unanimous support because Though fruity and round, it's also perfectly dry, so it makes it a perfect appetizer on its own. It also very well matches a fish, for instance, a white fish, simply with lemon olive oil, or goat cheese on a toast with honey and thyme, for instance. Our 2019 vintage was very well ranked on the Guide Hachette and on the Guide of the Revue des Vins de France. We're happy about that. Our second white wine is Par-delà les Versants. This one is actually a unique blend: Marsanne, Roussanne, Viognier, Petite Arvine, Mondeuse Blanche, and Altesse. It's not a wine of Savoie because we're out of the. Well, this is unique, and this is not what's usually made here. We have some grape varieties from Switzerland, for instance, here. All grapes are vinified together. This is the wine. Here's what it looks like. We have a very mineral wine. It has some aromas of flint first, and then at the retrofaction, you get a light touch of dry apricot, mint, a little bit of vanilla. This wine has a remarkable structure, I think. It will allow it to age for at least 5 years in your cellar if you wish to. You can also drink it right now if you want. Please note that it matches both fish and a white meat, which makes it quite appreciable for people who would like to mix any of these, or at the restaurant when you need to have one white wine for all the table and people have different dishes. Its mouth is lingering very long in your mouth, so it also matches very well with cheese. I think this one is a keeper. And if we move to red wines, we have Percent 2019. This one is a very, very, very rare grape variety. It represents 0.0025% of plantings in France. It actually used to be more widespread in Savoie in the early 20th century, but it disappeared completely because it was destroyed by the phylloxera in the early 20th century. After that, well, most estates chose not to replant it because it's very fragile, so it gets diseases very easily. And also because it's a late harvest grape, so it prevented winemakers from going hunting in the fall. So they chose Gamay, which is more widespread, easier to grow, and was more like Beaujolais, so it was a good move for wine estates at the moment to be like a big wine region. I'm very happy that Raphael chose to replant it. He was one of the first ones here in Savoie and one of the rare ones, maybe because he doesn't go hunting, I don't know. But the wine is, in my opinion, really a great one. It's a bit wild. It's very, very delicate, elegant, tender. The mouth is silky. Tannins are soft. They're dense but soft. And aromas of black currants, blueberries, dried roses are very delicate as well. Sensations in your mouth last long, and just as our previous white wine, this red wine does match either a fish or a meat. It also got great rankings both on the two guides I quoted earlier. And finally, our Mondeuse Noire. Mondeuse is a typical grape variety from Savoie. So this wine is a bit stronger is a bit more dense in terms of tannins. It's made out of old vines from 40 to 50 years old. And the first nose is a bit leathery, a bit earthy, but when you air it, it reveals aromas of black and red fruits, of bay laurel leaf, I think. So the wine has this strong structure which will enable it to age easily and which makes it an absolutely great partner for red meats. I really recommend it on red meats. Here on the next slide are our prices. All wines come in 27 centiliter bottles. All are organic. As you can see, we have small volumes of bottles left. And we also have a wider range of wines. So, for instance, here, Chignin Bergeron, I'm happy to provide any information on other wines we have. We have actually over 20 grape varieties on the estate for a small 13 hectares estate. So that makes many, many different batches, but small volumes. We are happy to welcome you at the estate if you wish to visit. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Thank you.
Thank you, Marielle.
Merci, Marielle. That was great. Thank you very much. So we are almost reaching the end. We have Grand Chêne and the Greek varieties coming. So Anne, it's your turn again.
Hello again. Yes, I deal with the export business of Domaine Grand Chêne as well. Domaine Grand Chêne is a family estate of 27 hectares located at the heart of Gaillac in the southwest of France. Aristide, who you can see on the right, is the grandson of the first generation of winemakers at the Domaine. And he took over 5 years ago with his wife, Céline. And then they decided to develop the ranch, and they wanted to focus on the native grapes and show that with these ancestral grapes, you could do modern wines, great wines with substance and nice and easy drinking. So today I have chosen the wines which are 100% of these grapes. Let's start with the Méthode Ancestrale Gaillacoise, which is the sparkling wine. It's 100% Mosaic. So here, if you can see, there are very fine, elegant bubbles. And in Mosaic, the aromas are green apples mainly, and pear too. So you have very fresh aromas. It is an easy drinking wine which can be drunk in any occasion. The price is very smooth, €5.25 ex-cellar, and so it can be enjoyed on a regular basis. Then I also chose Insolence, which is 100% Duras. It is our first red wine. The price is also very attractive at €3.50. And it's made of Duras, as I said. So in this wine, you have a dark red color and then very attractive aromas of raspberry, dark berries, a little cocoa as well, and a little pepper. It's very soft, easy drinking. So you have fruit and also the concentration that you have in the south of France. The Réserve Apolline red and white are our top level cuvées. So in the red, you have Brocal, which is another red grape, obviously, with the white berries, pepper, crushed leaves, aromas. It is very elegant. And here in Reserve Apolline Red, it's aged in old oak, so you also have a touch of vanilla. In the white wine, you have Landeau 100%, the fourth of our native grapes. So here it is apple again, with also dried fruit, exotic fruit. And it's also aged in old oak. And it's also a nice, elegant wine, which is quite serious and better to drink with foods such as poultry or some cheeses or some meat as well, red meat. In some of our other wines, we associate Duras, Brocol, and Shiraz. For example, in the Sélection Aristide Julien, which is actually our best-selling cuvée and got 2 stars in the Guide Hachette of next year. And we also supply sweet wines and enough dry white with Landeau and Sauvignon. So I am at your disposal for more information about all these beautiful wines. And I hope you have a good day and you take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Anne. I'm sorry we are running late. So now our last winery is, I hope that I pronounce it well, is Katima Brintziki, and is in Ilia in Greece. And it's presented by Panos Hatzilaridis. Am I saying it right?
No, but it's natural. It always happens this way. So let's stick to my little name. My little name is Panos. So let's use that because from what you understood from Odile, it's a little bit difficult to pronounce it. I'm representing Brintziki Estate. We are together close for the past 2 years and we work together for the exports of the estate. My company, Manager.eu, actually represents more than 60 companies from all over Greece with a wide variety of products. And we are here to present 4 unique and very special wines from the Brintziki Estate. Ladies first, I would like to introduce Mrs. Dionysia Brintziki as well, who is attending the event.
Hello, I'm nice to meet you. I believe that you have interesting to our estate and our unique grape of Ancient Olivia.
Thank you very much, Dionysia. So let me, before we begin, I would like to thank Odile for the communication because it was a last-minute participation and she facilitated the whole process, and I want to thank you for that. And I would also like to thank Mr. Hayden for the invitation. I met Mr. Hayden a couple of years ago in Athens in a trade fair, and thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to present those beautiful wines to you. So let's begin with the estate. The story of the estate begins back in 1994. It was founded by Mr. and Mrs. Brintziki. It's located in Western Peloponnese, very close to ancient Olympia, the birthplace of the Olympic Games, as you might know. And what's very special about the area is that the lands are very fertile. The vision of the family was to create unique wines that proudly represent actually an area that is renowned for the excellence in winemaking process for over 2,000 years. The combination of the clay soils, the freshness that comes from the river that passes by the estate, and the breeze that comes down from the mountains create an ideal microclimate for the vintages. I also would like to mention, this is very important, that in 2012, Brintziki Estate was actually characterized as the first 100% green winery in Southern Europe. And through the processes, we have a zero energy footprint, as you can see from the next slide that Odile is going to show you in a while. So we use geothermal energy in the estate for the cooling and the heating of the spaces and places, and we also use solar panels for the energy consumption of the estate. We cultivate Yes, this is the picture of the estate. And we cultivate 8 different varieties. You can see 5 of them here. Tinactorogos, which we will be speaking right after this small presentation. Avgustiatis, Agorgitico, Kidonitsa, and Fileri. We also cultivate Assyrtiko, Agorgitico, and Merlot. So let's begin with the first wine. The first wine is Tinactorogos. Yes, Tinactorogos is named after the peculiarity of shaking most of its blossoms, holding only the strogen to ripen and become grapes. Thus, the bunch of Tinactorogos is light and sparse, and its grapes are almost transparent to the sun. It's beautiful to see from what you saw from the picture before. In antiquity, it had various names. It's mentioned in Homer, in Odyssey, and Iliad, and it has over 250 references in the ancient Greek Secretariat. It's a unique cultivation of the area of ancient Olympia, and this specific wine is solely and uniquely produced by the Bridgiki estate. You can find nowhere else in the world this specific wine. It's a wine with impressive acidity and such style that will definitely charm those who love round white wines with delicate aromas. You can indicate lemon flowers and tropical fruits with a long-lasting aftertaste. It goes well with poultry, salads, white cheese, and I would like also to mention some Greek food as well, which you will have the chance to taste along with the wines when we will be able to travel again. And such dishes are fish such as fish soup, lobster with spaghetti, crayfish, and roasted sardines as well. And like aforementioned, chicken, and of course, fruit varieties. Now, we can proceed. Like I said, for Tinactorogos, the special uniqueness is its clear and bright look, its beautiful pale and green iridescence, the wonderful taste of a long-lost world, like we mentioned, because it has a history of more than 2,500 years. And this is what it makes it an absolutely unique wine worthy to being known all over the world. Now we proceed to the next wine. The next one is Rhapsody. It's the same variety, 100% Tinactorogos as well. It's an aged version of the previous wine that you saw. It's being matured for 18 to 24 months, depending on the vintage, in new French barrels, and acquires fragrances and flavors that highlight the uniqueness of the variety. And this gives us an exceptional and rare white wine. Like I said before, the unique characteristic of this variety is during the flowering period, it casts off most of its flowers, holding on to the most strong ones. It's a wine with impressive acidity and such style that will definitely charm the ones, like I said before, that would love round wines. Again, we find the same sense of excellence. And again, it goes well with many dishes. And I would also like to mention some Greek dishes again to open your appetite. We could taste it with the steamed snails, fried wild rooster. It's a very good dish that we make in this specific area as well, in Greece. With wild pork, with bay leaf, honey, and rosemary, and hard cheeses from Epirus, which is a location, actually it's a region located to the western part of Greece, and as well with salted soft cheese of the Aegean Sea. So let's proceed to the third wine that I want to present to you. The third wine is Avgustiatis. I would like to share a very interesting legend regarding this specific wine. This wine was tasted by the first emperor of Rome, August, which visited the area of the ancient Olympia because he wanted to participate in the Olympic Games. So he was hosted by the local militants, Roman militants that were occupying the area. Not occupying actually, but being there at that specific moment of time. And they had a feast before the athletic event. And as you know, as an emperor, he did his best in feasting. He drank a lot, too much of this wine, and he overslept, and he couldn't make it to the Olympic Games. But he actually received the reward as an honor, although he didn't get to participate to the match. But as well, he wanted to have this specific wine delivered to him each year he got 2 barrels from this specific wine. So it's 100% Avustiatis, this specific variety that you can find only in the area of ancient Olympia. Again, an indigenous and unique variety of wine. In this case, in the case of Avustiatis, we have a classic red vinification with selected wild yeasts and temperature control. It has an intense and deep, vivid red color with orange scene characteristic of aging. And regarding the aromas, it's a wine with a rich fruit bouquet consisting of blackberry, cherry, vanilla, which evolve actually over time. The taste is full and soft, it has a long aftertaste, and actually selecting a bottle of Avustiatis shows someone who possesses a deep knowledge of wine internationally and is willing to discover new and challenging paths. And at that point, I would like to amplify what Mr. Hayden said before, because I strongly believe as well from my business as well, because I have to do with many products from all over Greece. And having all my contacts from different countries all over the world, I see the potential of those rare wines. I strongly believe that they have a firm place in the international market. And let's proceed to the fourth wine for this presentation. The fourth wine is again an aged version of Avustiatis. It's Avustiatis Reserve. It's a very special wine as well from the rare variety of Avustiatis. Grapes are carefully selected to help this unique Greek variety to show its true potential, in combination, of course, with the ideal microclimate of the area. The harvest is in mid-September, and it remains in French oak barrels for 24 months. I forgot to mention that the first 2 wines are PDO, and those 2 wines, Avustiatis and Avustiatis Reserve, are PGI, protected geographical indication, both of those wines. So we again have this classic red vinification that we mentioned before for Avustiatis as well. It has the same characteristics, but we see the change with the aging in the French oak barrels. This is what I wanted to say regarding our varieties of wines, and I would also like to thank APVSA for the organization, and again to thank Mr. Hayden for the invitation. And before I leave you, I want to to tell you a couple of words for our crown jewel. It's the previous slide, Odile. It's worthy to be mentioned. It's called Diapiros. It's a very, very distinct collection that was created from the vineyards back in 2007. In 2007, we faced a huge disaster with raging fires in the area of ancient Olympia. Unfortunately, a bunch of ancient forests were lost to this fire, and the combination that the fire and the winemaking process that the winery used that year in order to produce this special wine makes it something that you have never seen and tasted before. It's really something different than anything that you have seen and tasted, like I said, and it's going to be a present to newly elected President, Mr. Biden, especially. So I would like to thank you again for giving us the opportunity to present our rare varieties and our distinct wines. And this is the family of Bridikis Estate and the co-workers that work in the estate as well. I want to leave you with a sense of optimism. I wish the best for everyone. I wish for everyone to stay strong and healthy. My company is able to facilitate the process of the export as well when it comes to logistics and labels adjustment as well, depending on the target market, of course. And I would also like to, in front of you, thank Mrs. Dionysia Bridiki as well for her trust for the past couple of years that we worked together. And this is going to be a long-lasting and fruitful cooperation, like it has been to many countries so far as well.
Excellent. Thank you very much,
for
Panos.
attention.
Thank you, Panos.
Go ahead. Yes, Mrs. Brinziki? You wanted to say something.
Thank you for your attention.
Ah, thank you.
Charlie.
Sasparisto. Did I say it well?
Go.
Okay. So thank you, everybody. This was the last winery. It was super interesting to have them all and to understand why they decided to use these grapes. I couldn't do it, but I wanted to, is to collect all the names of the grapes that we presented, and I will list them in the list of wines to make a sort of index of all the rare grapes of the event. Okay. And so, you know, we have soon in January, we are preparing a trade show. This one is on 10 days. And so if you need information, just reach us out. And so far, thank you and obrigada. Pascal, you want to say your word?
Yes, thank you, everybody. I wish you have a lot of success. If you need my help for the buyer or for the vine grower or for the sample, don't hesitate to communicate with me directly. I'm here for help you. You do a very nice presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. And on the buyer side, if you need to say something, please. No, they want to have lunch and others want to have dinner. So I think that tonight my dinner is going to be, comment on appelle ça? A Greek restaurant.
Thank you so much. Everyone was great. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.